and topics, writing questions for an interview, scouting locations, whatever, and recording a program, or better yet, a series of programs at your media center, and all without getting paid, you should hang on to that person like John Oates hangs on to Daryl Hall. Our mission at the Sun Prairie Media Center is partly to inform and educate the public and our producers through the programs they oversee and through the shows they oversee. Our volunteer producers go a long way in making that happen. Volunteer producers are likely to give you a lot of word-of-mouth promotion because they want people to watch or listen to their shows. Some shows or productions are going to be you're going to be more proud of than others, of course, but you should take the time to mold and shape those that need it and leave those alone who don't need it. In a perfect world, you get a buy-in from city staff or someone like our Dan Presser, who's at the bottom right up there, who is already known in the community to give immediate credibility to what your media center is doing and is able to do. Obtaining and retaining producers is hard, especially since we're living in a time where service industries are having a tough time finding people to work even for pay, but I think it's worth the effort. So how do we get our volunteers, Will Nimmow? Oh, perfect. Here are some methods that have worked for us. Going to community events and trying to recruit people. You might have to start from ground zero and talk about what your media center is or does before you get to the volunteer part, but face-to-face interaction I find is often best. It might help if you're giving out candy or other inexpensive swag items. Friends, family, neighbors, either yours or other friends, family, or neighbors. One of our newest radio hosts is a neighbor of Colin Lessig, who runs the day-to-day operations of our radio station. Local schools. Perhaps your local school has a media club that you could partner with, or just kids who are known to have interest in media. I know Will's going to talk about that. We just started working with a podcast club at our high school, and those students are very enthused about being involved at the media center. They were just there this morning. Advertise on your social media or your city's website for volunteers. It might help if you tell people what exactly you are looking for, if you have a particular niche you are trying to fill. Flyers at area businesses, inquiring at the local library or other nonprofits to see if you can interest people predisposed to volunteering, and advertising in local media, which brings me to my next category of community relationships. Local. Did you switch that before?
Watching your picture.
Wow, that's impressive. Local media. I talked before about things being tough for the service industry. Times, of course, have been tough on local media for a while now. But if your town still has a local newspaper, the editor and reporters for that paper are great friends to make. Pictured here in a few shots is Sun Prairie star editor Chris Murtis, who actually joined me for a WCM conference back in 2019 to talk about win-win partnerships. Chris has been a great friend of the Media Center for longer than I've been there. He prints a schedule of our programming in every edition. He accepts and prints almost every press release we send him, and he also co-hosts 2 talk shows on our channel. His presence on those shows give instant credibility to the Media Center. Our partnership is so strong that when he personally gave me a dreaded bag of coal on their annual Candy, Canes, and Coal holiday edition of his TV show for charging producers for memberships, I wasn't even offended. How about the next? Our Media Center Commission. Yes, Media Center Commission, pictured here in a couple of recent iterations, are also great to build community relationships for you. Some of you might have boards, some of you might not, but if you do, put them to work. It's true that our board isn't as active as I would necessarily like, but it's also true that when I specifically need them for something, they do tend to answer the call. And I'm going to skip ahead here a little bit to save some time. I want to say that we've been lucky in Sun Prairie to have State Representative Gary Hebel on our board since the 1970s. He's a very vocal advocate for community media, not only locally, but also on a state level. We wish him well in his retirement from the Wisconsin State Assembly and hope that he will stay on our Media Center Commission board for a long time. Let me move ahead. City Council, that brings me to my next group. City Council, obviously as budgets get tighter and perhaps your council is more under pressure to get dollars or get creative with the budget, it's always a good idea to make sure that your council members are well aware of the important work that you do for the city. We do that in 3 main ways. We produce programming that features council members extensively, like Council Playback and Talk of the Town. We make sure that we are at major community events like Corn Fest or Strawberry Fest or the Holiday Fire Truck Parade, and we always seek out council members to interview. And the most obvious way that we provide service to council, of course, is coverage of their meetings. I would say that people on city council wouldn't be serving if they didn't think the work that they do is important, which of course it is, but simply covering the meetings, I think, gives them an extra sense of importance that I think their egos appreciate. How about next, sir? The Sun Prairie Library, your local public library is a great community relationship for you to foster as well. Chances are you have a lot of the same patrons and a lot of the same goals and objectives to serve those patrons. We've partnered with the library to run Media Center Media Maker Labs and other programming that provides great marketing for us. Here in this picture is myself and Library Director Shweta Hetzler accepting an award from the South Central Library System Foundation for our partnership. Park and Rec departments are great folks to build relationships with. Chances are your Parks department in your area puts out a rec guide of some kind, whether it's digital or paper or both. See if they can include information about your media center or about becoming a volunteer. What about city staff? Well, yeah, city staff, I encourage you to get city staff involved whenever possible. Ask them to produce PSAs, be guests on programs. Encourage them to keep your media center in the loop on marketing or press releases that come out so you can be informed and do what you can to inform the public. Most city staffers are or think they are too busy to stop doing their jobs to promote what they do. If you can help them do that, it makes them and you look good. Of course, it helps to start at the top with the mayor and or city administrator to help others get involved. And don't be afraid to look to the business world for relationships. The Sun Prairie Media Center has cemented good partnerships with several local businesses. We've worked with the Bank of Sun Prairie for a while and just announced a 5-year agreement with them that the bank president, Jimmy Coffin, will be addressing at a workshop tomorrow. Otherwise, in that picture, we have Culver's. We do share nights with Culver's. And for many years, Wild Easttown Honda donated a car to us, largely for our good relationship or good reputation in the city. Good place to start fostering these relationships, of course, is through your local Chamber of Commerce. Bill Baker, this one's for you. Local service groups, local service organizations are good to have partnerships with. The Lions Club continues to support us at our annual summer concert, celebrating our radio station anniversary, and also the Optimist Club in Sun Prairie is often looking for ways to get involved, and we've had them partner with us to pay for the T-shirts that our Kids 4 program does, and there's no reason that these relationships can't be mutually beneficial. Partially because of our relationships with these organizations, I've become a part of both the Sun Prairie Lions and Sun Prairie Optimists. Local school district, Will's going to talk about this, but we've worked hard to foster good relationships with the local school district. In turn, they've actually won an award from the Wisconsin School Public Relations Association for excellence in school communications for a radio program they do with us. We've hosted and moderated candidate forums for them. We've been rewarded for our help. Bill, looks like your head is cut off in that picture. I apologize for that. I don't know how that happened. But we, out of our partnership, we got a fantastic enclosed media box at the brand new football stadium in Sun Prairie. And also, our relationship with them also ensures as smooth an annual production as possible of their high school graduation. Last but not least, if you haven't already done so, I would encourage your center to start a 501c3 group. We've always had one at Sun Prairie, but we've sort of rebooted and retooled it a couple years ago, and it is made of people who actively plan events, work on fundraising, and advocate for the media center through appearances at community events. After a slow start, this group is really starting to take shape, and I'm excited to see them get more active. I think that's all I got. Thank you. We'll take questions at the end? Sure, we'll take questions at the end. Thank you.
I'm going to go next. I'm going to get my presentation going here. Oh, wait, I want incognito.
Private browser on the dark web.
I hope my IT director's okay with that.
You show us password while you're
Just want to help you remember. It's the one of everything. If you know that one, you're going to know them all, so I can't tell you.
Nice.
Okay. Can I get in the wireless there?
You want to stand? I can switch. Or
Oh my gosh, you. Go ahead.
Sure, I might be able to. Actually, yeah, 'cause I'm going to go in a weird. Yeah, go ahead. No, I don't want to make a fool of you because I don't know.
Wow, I think I've already done that.
No, I don't know where I'm going with it. So, I already talked to some people at the table. So, all of you at my table when I was eating, you can go have a drink because you've heard it all. No, it's not going to be pretty much going to be quick. So, City of Monona, we are a big neighborhood in Madison. Basically, is how you can look at it. I think we're 8,500 residents. And luckily enough, and I may not even use this PowerPoint, this was just like security blanket. Luckily enough, in like 1970s, I think, yeah, early 70s, is when the cable channel and the teacher who was basically teaching the AV club, or running the AV club, and the city employee who was running the cable channel got together and said, hey, let's start working together. And of course, at that time in the 70s, equipment was more expensive. And the school district, literally I saw in old history documents of like commission meetings, they said like, this is a great public relations thing for the school to do. So they partnered and they said, hey, let's have this be a relationship where the city cable channel is inside the high school and we have high schoolers involved, and we run it from there. So at the beginning, it was a city employee and a teacher who was running essentially the cable channel, and the teacher kind of had that good relationship with the students, and the city cable president, whatever that they were called, was kind of running the cable channel. And over the years, it grew and it changed because the teacher no longer worked there, and so now I am a city employee along with Brennan Hekimovich, who will be here later. He is an employee as well, and we work for the city. We're city employees, but our head end for our cable operations is in the high school, in a studio, and the majority of the people we work with who get paid and do the job are high school students. So what happens is, literally a contract, and I'm going to go through what the city has done, and I know a lot of people are going, yeah, great, we can't do that there, but at least I'll let you know what we do, and maybe you'll find some things that you'll go, hey, maybe we can tap into this or that. But really, what happened was we built this contract that says, City of Monona will provide these services for the school district. The school district will provide X amount of money and X amount of equipment update money, and we will partner. And so that's what we essentially have done. This is a quick overview, but as I scroll down, let me just go through. So many of you done this. I should say, how many people have high schoolers that work for them right now that are getting paid? So 5 or 6, 7 communities. So, we do a ton of stuff, and I'm going to kind of go quick because what I want to get to is the meat and potatoes, which is, let's look at the actual, oops. Here's the contract. So this is literally, I just took the verbiage out of the contract and put it in here so you guys could see. So under the high school AV responsibilities, we will assist high school staff with audio and video technology, provide AV support for special events. That includes banquets, pep rallies, presentations. And we will serve as club advisors. We'll hold one club meeting a week, and we'll oversee the studio and the equipment and supervise and train students in media technology. And we will produce and supervise the Monona Grove High School morning announcements. So this is what we're kind of held to do. Now, obviously, this is a fairly general in that it's banquets, pep rallies, so how do you designate sometimes if that's under the contract umbrella? And that's, there's some other, there's Brennan right there. Put him on the spot. Welcome. So some of these things, it's up to our discretion, like, oh, okay, we don't have enough students, we can't cover it. And we put that in the contract so that we're not, bound to no matter what, hell or high water, we have to be there. But as we get into sports, we get a little more detailed for a reason. Home football games, but we did not say we would do playoffs, which we do, but we didn't say we're absolutely going to because it costs money. As I was talking to James earlier, we're a little bit lucky because when we pay the WIA fees, we're under the school umbrella, so we only pay what a school coverage would pay, not what a media company would pay. And then, of course, basketball is a lot of games. And so when we redid this contract in like 2017, so it would have been 2018, we said, you know what, we're not going to cover every single game at the high school. We're just not going to do it. So we'll cover the conference home games, but that's it. It was just too many, and we couldn't get students to cover it, and then we're running around doing a one-camera shoot, one-person shoot, and we got to look at what's the value of that if no one's willing to support that. So we put in there that those are just the things we're going to cover. Fine arts, all the choir concerts, band concerts, orchestra concerts, drama club events, musical, and held in the auditorium because there's other rooms, there's other events that happen in the high school, and we didn't want to be bound again to all of those things. It has to be something in the auditorium, otherwise, that we can't promise that. One thing I was talking to the people at the table was that we rarely say no if there needs to be coverage. We're not going to say nope, it's not in the contract. We never want to be those people, so we will try to make accommodations for pretty much any wish the district has for the most part, but contractually we didn't want to bound ourselves to those things. Again, school district coverage, so school board meetings, PEP assemblies, the high schools, senior awards, the annual board budget, and there's some few other meetings that we cover as well as graduation, which you probably all do as well, and then the other district happenings, which is interesting, right? Because you guys probably see this and go, yeah, we do all this stuff, right? A lot of you guys probably are like, yeah, our whole community, yes, we do that, and we don't get anything from the school district other than, tape down your cord, you're going to make someone trip. And I think that's the good reason why this is up here is that, yes, we're lucky, very lucky that it started in 1970s, and it's kind of that tradition thing, and all of our community centers are based on tradition, and that's how we get our fellowship, as the tradition tends to be what people tend to glom onto. So we're lucky there. But I do think you can put some pressure on people and really kind of think about what you do and just write it down, because I still will do a presentation to the school board and say, here's what we did, this year, here's what we did. City council, here's what we did, to make sure people understand what we do and it's not just lost in the shuffle of, like the city of Madison said, the department that's down in the basement. That's how we can be looked at too, and even in Monona, even the close ties to the school district, we're just that department over there. We're not tax funded, so it's pretty low stress. Nobody's too concerned about it, so as long as we're not doing anything illegal, whatever, we got bigger fish to fry. But I think we can put pressure on him because, like I was talking to James earlier, what happens if he doesn't cover that playoff game and pay that money to cover it? How does the community get that game? And unfortunately, the huddle camera is all over the place, and so that's probably how they're going to do it. But I think it behooves all of us to make a list of everything we do for our community, school district, city, and then have those conversations. And what can come out of that, you guys know better your community than I, but I think that's how it starts. And you can certainly get high schoolers involved, because they learn a tremendous amount. I actually just had a junior student apply for Channel 3, and a direct quote from the news director was, "Wow, this high schooler knows more than a lot of the people who work here." And he's only been in our club a year, but we're busy all the time, right? And he's doing a lot of things because he has to. And he's a smart student, he's outgoing, so that all helps. But they learn a lot, and I think that's another thing. And you best believe when I get back, I'm gonna send an email to the superintendent, go, hey, look at this great news. One of our junior students now works at Channel 3. I want him to know that what we do is directly benefiting his students outside of the classroom. And that's one of the things I have actually heard the superintendent say is what he likes about what we do is that it's another opportunity for the students outside the classroom walls. And that's important for them, right? With all this core studies, they got to focus on core, but where do these other opportunities lie? So we try to tap into that and say, here's how we benefit. It's not grades or GPA, but now this student essentially is going to walk out working for Channel 3 for a year before he graduates high school, and is probably going to know more than me in some aspects of production by then. So I advocate to show how we are impacting the community and how we are impacting our school district in any way you can, and put that in front of people, because it's hard to say no to bettering our youth and enriching the lives of our youth. So if you can do that, and you can show how you're doing that, you may find a way, like Jeff has, where when they build something, maybe they're not giving you direct money, but they're saying, hey, we want to make sure we touch base, and do you need these cables, run to the new field? Will that help you? Well, at least that's a start. So I know our contract is steeped in tradition, but a lot of what we do is already what everyone does, and there's no reason you can't make a full list of what you do and put it in someone's face and say, we can't guarantee this is always going to happen. What do you guys think? That's kind of where I'm at on that one. Enjoy.
Thank you, fellas. I know we don't have a ton of time left, so I'll make mine brief. Fantastic stuff from both of you guys. I'll just piggyback a little bit. A couple of the things that I took away from that was I had the opportunity, along with our communications coordinator, Andy Radig, to go to a local Rotary Club meeting. And I was kind of back and forth on whether or not, they invite somebody new to their meeting every month, and you get to go up there and do your spiel. And I thought, they would give us our 10 minutes, thank us for being there, feed us, and send us on our way. And they took, I think we presented for 15 minutes, and I think we answered questions for a half an hour. I think you would be very surprised. The service organizations in your communities are interested in other people who serve the community. You're like-minded people. You may not have the exact same mission, but I think you would be surprised. Pick whatever your favorite organization is, pick the one your city manager is in or your council members are in or whatever, pick one and go and do a 10, 15-minute PowerPoint like these guys did. And I think you'll be very surprised on how many people you'll educate, and you're going to turn them into ambassadors for you. We had a million questions about franchise fees and PEG law and all these things that I never thought anybody really cared about except for me. And it was a pleasant surprise. So that would be one piece of advice I would give you. If you've thought, I'm not really sure this is worth my time, find a service organization in your community, pick one, go there, and they'll be happy to have you. Another thing about volunteers, if you have, whether it's 2-year schools or 4-year universities in your community, if they have any kind of communications program, reach out to those people, get a foot in the door, tell them we have opportunities, hands-on opportunities here where you can do pretty much anything you want. We get interns from UW Oshkosh. There's also a program at Oshkosh North High School called Communities, where these are junior and senior students who are developing leadership skills and other things in their community. They have to go out and get a real-world internship, job shadow, work study, something like along those lines. They have to get one. And if you get on the list and someone's interested in video production or they're interested in communications or marketing or anything, if you're on that list, at least you've got your foot in the door and you'll be getting more people into your center. Perhaps they're future volunteers, perhaps they're future PEG employees. If they don't work for you, they may work for one of us here in this room and keep them in that community and get our talented young people to work in PEG, and so that they understand the only opportunities you have coming out of college or high school if you want to work in media aren't just news or moving to LA to sleep on someone's couch and work for Fear Factor. You have opportunities in the state all over the place to tell stories and create things, and that's what all of you are, and those are the opportunities that they would have. From an Oshkosh standpoint, I can't say enough good things about our friends group. I know Jeff touched on it too. Find 5 people who love you. If you can only find 4, call one of us and maybe we'll be on your board. But find 5 people who love what you do and support you, and then reach out to one of us here at WCM who has a friends group, and we would be happy to help you. Our friends group does handle emergency and capital expenditures for us, things that come up, but they're also fantastic ambassadors. They are fundraisers. They sponsor programming. We have a lot of things we wouldn't have if it wasn't for that group. So, last but not least, nonprofit organizations are huge. We work with the Disabled American Veterans, the League of Women Voters, a lot of different organizations in the city that, again, are like-minded and probably aren't even aware that you are a resource that they can tap into. Nonprofits, much like some of you and like Wisconsin Community Media and others, the marketing budget is usually pretty slim. That's usually one of the things that's not a huge line item in the budget. They may not know that their community access station offers PSA services or the ability to come in and use their studio, train them on equipment so that they can create their own PSAs, rent out equipment so that they can create marketing materials. Think of yourselves and the things that you offer as resources, and approach those conversations in that way so that you're not necessarily going to them and asking them for something. Remember that we all have something to offer, and when you go into those conversations, start it in that way. So that's really all I have. I wanted to leave a couple of minutes for questions. I know we're supposed to start at 1:30 across the hall, and I want to keep us on time. So any questions for any of us? Yes, Dana.
Here, I'll bring a mic over.
My question for you is the agreement that you have with the schools, is that something that you look at annually, or is it just something that's been in place for forever? And how does that look?
Yeah, good question. Luckily, it is not something that's looked at annually. In fact, when we put the contract together, I mean, it was together before I got there in 2014, but it hadn't been looked at since like 2009. So by the time we updated our gear and we're fully HD and then got on YouTube and we're doing that, it was time to kind of do some updates because we were spending some money and we needed to make sure. Essentially, the mayor, right, said, wait a second, we're spending a lot of money. How much is the school district giving us and how much are we providing them? And that's when we really redid the contract. And that's when he said, write every single thing down you're doing for the school district, and we're going to put it in front of him, and we're going to, and I say him, the superintendent, and we're going to say, here's what we do, we need more from you. So I certainly had help from the mayor, so that would be the way to start, but yes. And then when the superintendent said, okay, yes, let's redo this, we'll give you more money, and you're doing great. We made it, and he specifically said, I don't need to look at this every year. You know, this is the plan, and if we need to make changes, let me know, but that's not something I want to bring in front of the school board every year. So that's how it works. And if you know how school districts are funded, they use Fund 80 to fund this project, and Fund 80 is just this big pot of money they always have that they can throw at the community for community needs. I shouldn't say community needs, but it's a big chunk of money that they don't have to put towards the school. They can put it towards other things, and that's how we get the money from them. So if they say they don't have the money, tell them to look in Fund 80. And don't take that off. Don't put that on the YouTube. I'm going to get in trouble for that. Okay.
Anybody else with a question before we move on? Fund 80, remember that. All right, thank you all so very much. Enjoy the rest of the conference. Thank you.